we're delighted to have with us today Dr. Blossom Amelia Nelson, who has had an exemplary career in government and the private sector. She was the first female Postmaster General of Jamaica and pioneered the reform of the postal services by establishing the Postal Corporation of Jamaica, of which she was the Chief Executive Officer. And with us today, Blossom, I'd like to welcome you. Blossom, tell us a little bit about the memories that you have of this great school of ours.
Well, I must say, first of all, it's good to be here and to see this museum taking shape. You know, it really is a great idea, and it brings together so many people, so many memories. The history of really St. Andrew High School is a phenomenon. My memories dated back to the time when I didn't pass common entrance and they didn't know what to do with me. And I took the entrance for a number of schools, including St. Andrew High School. And by the grace of God, I was very successful in the St. Andrew High School entrance. That's absolutely incredible. And so I turned up in my maroon tunic and white blouse and brown shoes and brown socks. I remember getting the list. Those days the packing list was very important, you know, and I was so excited because my parents were buying all of these things to go to school, including a little hand mirror, which I think I still have, this little hand mirror, as a border. You know, it had a black plastic frame and some little pink flowers on the back of it. But off I was, and you know, and I got admitted into middle 4B. Now, I wasn't a boarder, you know, the boarders were the kind of elite of the pack, and then you had two categories of day girls. You had the day girls who lived at home with their parents, and of course they were quite sophisticated because it meant that they had parents who lived in Kingston. But I was sort of at the bottom of the bag because I was a day girl that didn't live in Kingston, that didn't board at school. Now, you know, that is really way down the bottom of the pack. But anyway, you know, so I knew from day one I had to hold my own because the girls, it was just an illustrious school. People were just so brilliant. But fortunately, the attention wasn't only on academic achievement, although that got due reward. But I think St. Andrew High School paid a lot of attention to leadership. Because when you look in Jamaica and the world today, the achievement of St. Andrew High graduates, it really is phenomenal. And in a world where women were sort of expected to toe the line and to be supportive and to know their place, what we found was that we had some women who were definitely not conformists at all. The persons had their own personality, they spoke out, they broke barriers, they broke ceilings, glass and otherwise, and were pretty much their own, or trailblazers or their own people. And I often think of it, you know, how come, and these are mainly people from the 50s and 60s, and that was a time when women were still not, you didn't have the female revolution, and I mean, you didn't have the women's movement, but we were so sophisticated and knew ourselves and continue so to this day. And it has something to say. You know, first of all, there's this debate about whether you should have co-ed schools and you have a girls' school and a boys' school and this and, you know, all the negative things and why you should have co-ed schools. But up to this morning when I drove in here, I realized the value of it being an all-girls school because you were able to focus on your own development, you're able to develop a sense of self-worth without all these distractions, and I think it worked very well. Of course, you know, our mistresses then, many of them were from overseas, and it was post-war, or these post-war ladies that were miss this and miss that, and as girls we used to say they all had boyfriends that died in the war, you know, and now some found husbands in Jamaica and some didn't, right, and then they dedicated themselves to fixing us. And that was, but I just thank God for them because they really set such a tremendous example and, you know, taught us how to do our own independent work. and to be organized and to understand that we must have goals and we must have a future. And then the opportunities for leadership were incredible.
For example?
Oh, well, you know, I'm a joiner. So I joined the Christian Fellowship, and I was also a leader in my house. And
what
you
house
know,
were you?
as Darling, Grace Darling, tried to run. Everybody said, "You're tall, you can run." And of course, I was so weak. I told them that I grew past my lungs or something. But I didn't have the aerobic capacity, so I was, and besides I was not me, which is not good, you know, if you're going to run, not good. And so I was quite a failure at athletics. So I tried tennis and didn't get good enough to represent the house, but I will never forget my attempts at hockey. Now, when you take a left-handed, double right-brained person and give them a hockey stick and say, no, you're going to play hockey, and then, you know, they took you into a classroom and showed you all the positions on the board. Of course, now I had to transfer these positions to the hockey field, you know, that is on the board, and these people are on the hockey field. My hockey days were a disaster, with many a chop to people's ankles and big toe and thing. So I decided, believe it or not, although I was tall and not athletic, let us get that straight. So I had to be satisfied with that. It was bad for me because my brothers were all sportsmen, and they went to Monroe College and Cornell College and Woolman's, and they had their blues. You know, they had these things on their blazer for football and athletics, and here was I, you know, all I could do was pick up the ball when they were playing and hand it to them. So that was it. But I was a leader in Christian Fellowship. I think I was the president of the Christian Fellowship. And there's another movement, a students' SCM, that I was also a member of. And I used to go to visit all the old people. Red Cross, I think I was a Red Cross fanatic.
And the girls were encouraged to go and visit with
Yes. So, it was good in terms of being rounded.
Okay, so we're going to move to the second half shortly, the second part of our interview. And at that point, I'm going to ask you to tell us a bit more about what you did in school, some of the subjects that led you into your career.